Tlazotla, ojalá que estén teniendo muy buen tiempo. I hope everybody's having a good time, wonderful time at whatever hour or day you are watching this recording. This was going to be a workshop that was interrupted by a small emergency. So rather than try to gather everybody together again, I decided to record it. What brings me here today is this. Um, this you can see this. This is a shadow alignment at Hueco Tank State Park, which we call Izcalotlan. Give you a view of it again. And what this is that this shadow here aligns perfectly with a pictograph that is underneath. And that alignment is a gift to our community from the guardian spirits of Hueco Tanks. And if you saw the video that I included in the notes that I sent out for this workshop, you'll actually see it on YouTube. You see the alignment happening. We didn't discover the shadow. It was offered to us by a guardian spirit in Hueco Tanks. In the year 2000, our community was given a vision that if we reconnected to Hueco Tanks, to Izcalotlan, by way of going in and making offerings at certain places, certain special places, that within a year, the spirits of that place would communicate with us directly. And a year after we had done the last pilgrimage into the area, one of our members had a dream in which a guardian spirit spoke to her and directed her to find a cave that was called the cave where the waters descend, or in Nahuatl is Atemostli. And so we went, and it took a long time, well over 4 hours of trying to find it, and we did find it. And it was the way that the cave had been described to her in the dream. And there in that cave, we found this. And after observing, we discovered that this shadow aligns twice a year. Now, the reason why I'm doing this video is because the first alignment of that shadow is going to happen pretty soon. It happens around May 26th, May 27th. And so that's the reason why I'm doing this this recording. The purpose is for us to have a better understanding of what that shadow means, why that they created or constructed that astronomical alignment. And my intention is for all of us to learn a little bit more, a little bit better, how it is that our ancestors would observe and record and learn from nature. In our system of knowledge, we have basically 4 quadrants in our system of knowledge. One is observation, memory, analysis, and mystery. And all of these are present in the observations that we've done about of this alignment. The second alignment occurs on July 23rd, and there's a reason and a purpose for this alignment. And before I get into it, I'm gonna just briefly remind something that we've discussed before, and that's our cosmovision, how it is that we see human beings fit into the natural cycle. And we know we've used this before. This is what you might call the spiral of life. Everything that grows on Earth grows according to this spiral. And the spiral has some numerical values. It begins with 0, uh, and then moves to 1, 2, 3. And at 3, uh, the next step is an addition of 3 and 2, which gives us 5. And then the next jump is an addition of 5 and 3, which gives us 8. And then the next one is 8 and 5, which gives us 13. Now 13 and 8 will give us 21. And that's the next natural progression. But we human beings, we are here at 20. At 20. And what that means is that we have this missing space. And that missing space is why we can't be the way that the plants and the animals are, where they automatically know things about the natural cycles and they're able to integrate and give way to the natural flow of life. While we are natural creatures, because we come from this spiral of life, in order to know and to incorporate this gap into our lives, we have to return from here to the origin, to the 0. And so, as human beings, we consciously must observe nature, and out of that observation, incorporate that knowledge into the way we live so that we can have a natural way of life. Part of it is knowing how or accepting the idea of mystery. The shadow that we found came out of mystery. It wasn't that we were investigating or observing. We were given a vision. We followed that vision, and then we got the object which we now had to observe, which is the shadow, which brings us to this point. Now, I'm going to say that in terms of numbers, okay, uh, we are our product of our formation is a product of two numbers, the number 13 and the number 20. 13 groups of 20 give us 260. 260 days is how long it takes a woman to create a child within her womb. At 260 days, we're fully cooked in the oven. And then in the next 13 days, that's when we are born. And we follow this pattern. It's a natural cycle. Okay, you find that cycle in this spiral, but we also find it in the cycle of Venus. Venus as morning star and Venus as evening star. Venus appears as morning star for 260 days, and at 260 begins to descend and then move into her next position of evening star. And so, just like a human being in 260 days, that's the length of Venus's morning star. And then across the next 13 days, she appears on the other horizon as the evening star. And you can kind of draw that cycle in the Aztec calendar, the Tonalmachot, and it looks like this. This would be Venus at one point of the horizon, and then she moves to the next, and then it comes back. And from here to here is a 260-day plus 13 cycles. Now, the other importance about this form is that this is also the way that the sun moves from horizon, from tropic to tropic. The year that is most accurate, or the measurement of a year that is most accurate, involves 3 cycles, okay, which our ancestors put together. One cycle is the Earth going around the sun. In one orbit is a year, but also a year is when the Earth tilts one way, giving the southern horizon summer and giving us winter, and then tilting back and completing the 4 seasons. And what we see is, we see here, from our position on Earth, we see the sun moving from what's called the Tropic of Capricorn across the equator to the Tropic of Cancer, and then moves back from the Tropic of Cancer to the equator to the Tropic of Capricorn. And that movement looks like a line from the Tropic of Cancer to the equator to the Tropic of Capricorn, and then from Capricorn to the equator to the Tropic of Cancer. But because the Earth is round and tilted, we don't see it that way. It doesn't really happen that way. It happens like this. Now, if we could stand at the equator, okay, it might look, and trace the sun moving, it might look something like this. This is a Tropic of Capricorn. This is a Tropic of Cancer, and in the middle is the equator. Now, from here, it doesn't move in a straight line. It looks like it moves like in a curve, and then up, and then back. Here is these two are the solstices, and in the middle is the equinox. So, for example, this would be if this is a winter solstice, then this is a spring equinox. This is a summer solstice. This is a fall equinox, and then this is the summer solstice. So that's the way we would see it, and this would be the equator. But since we're not on the equator, we see it a little different. And in the notes that I sent, well, here it is in the Tonalmachot, okay? That from here to here is the motion of the sun across the tropics. And these symbols here represent this motion, which is the way we describe time, as the universe moving is time. It isn't a clock, and it isn't even a dimension. It's the universe, its elements in the universe moving in cyclical forms. And this is one. This is the sun moving from tropic to tropic, but it's also the way that Venus moves from morning star to evening star. Okay. Now, in the motion, in the notes that I sent, you'll notice that when it talks about the sun moving from tropic to tropic, okay, it gives three. Might not be able to see it. Okay, it gives three examples. Okay, like one would be the way that we would imagine it would be, just a cycle going back and forth. This is what I just showed you, where it, this would be the equator, and of course, these two would look equal. But because of the way the Earth is, because the Earth is round and because it's tilted, it actually comes out, looking more like this, right? And then the so when we need to track the motion of the sun moving across the topics, because one complete cycle is a year. One orbit of the Earth is also a year. And then 13 cycles of the moon is also a year. So in the Tonalmachot, in the Aztec calendar, a year is calculated combining, integrating those three cycles: the orbit of the Earth, the moving of the sun from tropic to tropic, and the 13 cycles of the moon. And that's why we have such an accuracy of measurement with the Aztec calendar. Now, so because when the sun moves back and forth, there's a point. There's a point when the moving from one tropic and then back to the other, there's a point where it's the same time. It's the same time. Like I said, if we were in the equator, this would be the point. Okay? Same time between here and here and here and here. This is the point where the sun starts crossing from, into moving into the tropic, and then back when it starts moving into the other tropic. Okay? But again, because the Earth is round and tilted, we experience it, we see it more like, let me see, yeah, more like this. And I send photographs, so this document also has photographs that you can see, and it's right there. Okay, it's right there. Now, because because we want to accurately track the path of the sun from tropic to tropic, it's important for us to find that point in which that point is at the same place and time, not just the same place, but the same place and time, going in one direction and moving in the other direction, right? So our ancestors who did the pictographs at Waco Tanks, that's what they did. So on May 27th, the sun is moving from the Tropic of Capricorn, and it has already crossed the equator and is now approaching the Tropic of Cancer. And as it approaches on May 27, our ancestors mark that time and place. Okay. Now, from the point that the shadow aligns, that's one day, on the one day that the alignment occurs, and then 28 days later, we have the summer solstice. So this measurement it combines two moon cycles. The 28 days is the amount of time that the moon takes to orbit the Earth. The 29 days, because it's the day of the alignment plus 28, the 29 days, that's a cycle of the phases of the moon. From the time the moon is full and then empty and then full again, it's 29 days. So the two are a pair. The 29 and the 28 are a pair. The 29 are the moon phases. The 28 are the moon orbits around the Earth. So 29 days and 20 for the moon phase, 28 days for the moon orbit, and so it takes 29 days for the summer solstice to occur, the beginning of summer, and then 28 days, and then so 28 days later, it's right at the original point, and then on the day 29th, it aligns once again. It aligns once again. And so therefore, we have a way of measuring this back and forth of the sun across the tropics in a very accurate way. We can say on May 27th, and on July 23rd, the sun are in the same time and position that they were, that the sun was going towards the Tropic of Cancer as it is coming back to the Tropic of Capricorn. And so this point in modern astronomy they call analemma. It's an analemma point. Now, I hope this is clear about this shadow alignment. Of course, this alignment, if we study the region as it was back when this pictograph and shadow were aligned, we also realize that back then the shadow entering the pictograph would be like a seed entering the earth or being planted in the earth. So we can deduce that at this time when the shadow was set, it was the beginning of a planting season. And that planting season lasted for 2 moon cycles. There's a similar alignment in a place called Xochicalco in Morelos, Mexico, but that alignment happens with the sun, but it's with a solar zenith. When the solar is directly above and we don't cast a shadow. In Xochicalco, which was the school where the Quetzalcoatls were taught, they're in a cave. They drilled a hole all the way up, vertical hole, and at solar noon, on the solar zenith, on July 28th, the sun goes directly into the cave, and there's a beam of light, looks like a laser beam. It falls down, and then the floor was smoothed out, and it looks like the laser beam is dissipating into water. It's beautiful, beautiful. I've seen it. I'm very grateful to have seen that. But the people of the area will tell you that what that alignment was a planting season. And the first alignment, because it happens twice a year, the first alignment, between the first alignment and the last alignment was their planting season. So we can also deduce that this was also a planting season for this area so many years ago. The other implication of this is that it teaches us about the unity of earth and sky, the unity of earth and sun, which is a basis for life. So there's several lessons in this alignment. Now, our ancestors were very meticulous in observing nature and figuring out how nature and our lives are integrated and can remain integrated, because we are the only creatures that can fall out of harmony, out of balance with Mother Nature. An example of how meticulous they were is this other illustration. Okay. And this is what I like to call the bowl of life. Out of this is designed to give us this nice little art piece. But it's more than an art piece. It's a calculator that was still used by midwives. Because again, the numbers here is a 260 plus 13-day cycle. So the midwives could track the 260, and then they knew that in the next 13 days, the child was to be born. And there are things that need to be done along that gestation cycle. The other thing that is important, or was important to our ancestors concerning the tracking of the sun across the horizon, as well as the Earth circling the sun, is are nine positions that are part of the Aztec calendar. There's the two solstices and the two equinoxes, summer and winter solstice, spring and fall equinox. Those are 4 positions. But then they have a complementary position, which astronomy calls the aphelion and the perihelion. But modern astronomy only includes the aphelion and the perihelion. In our astronomy, we also include 2 more positions, which can be called the echihelions. And those are 8 special positions between the Earth and the Sun. Those positions are manifestation that the Earth and the Sun are positioned in such a way that life can be created here on Earth, which includes us. Okay? Now, these positions, let's see if we can, okay. Now, these are the positions. Here we have fall. See if I can read it. Fall, summer, spring, and winter. Okay? Now, after the summer solstice, 13 days later, there's a special position. And in this position, the Earth is now at its furthest position from the sun. 13 days after the summer solstice. This is what astronomy calls the aphelion. Okay? Now, oops, sorry, just lost the Earth there. Here, it's the fall equinox. 13 days later, after the fall equinox, is another special position. That's the echihelion. I'll explain what that means in a minute. Then after winter, the winter solstice, 13 days later, the Earth is at its closest position to the sun. The winter is not caused by the Earth getting away from the sun. It's caused by its tilt. which is why it's so important to track that tilt, that moving forth of the sun from tropic to tropic. So 13 days after winter, it's the perihelion, and the Earth is closest to the sun at that point. Then on the spring equinox, 13 days after the spring equinox, is another echihelion point. What does that mean? It means that the distance from here to the sun is the same distance as at this other echihelion point and the sun. So these two distances are equal. That's why they're called echi, which means equal echihelions. And modern astronomy, NASA hasn't discovered these two positions. All right. Now the other position, the ninth position, is what I described in that place in Xochicalco, which is the solar zenith. Between the tropics, between the Tropic of Capricorn and the Tropic of Cancer and the equator, as the sun moves across, at certain times, it'll have a zenith position. In other words, it'll be directly up in the sky. And it occurs at different times. It doesn't occur beyond the tropics. Like we're far from the Tropic of Cancer, so we don't get a solar zenith. The sun never, goes directly above us in the sky. It's always leaning a little bit to the south. But when this shadow aligns the first time on May 27th, the solar zenith is above a very special place for us, Chichen Itza. It's a pyramid. That's an astronomical piece that also marks the seasons, it marks the path of the sun across the sky. And when this shadow aligns the first time on May 27th, it is also the solar zenith over Chichen Itza. When this shadow aligns over on July 23rd, it is also solar zenith over Tula or Tolan, which was the capital of the Toltec civilization, founded by Seacatl another person that we're going to honor on May 4th at Hueco Tanks. He was born May 4th in the year 843 AD. So over Tula, there would be a solar zenith over Tula. Now, the solar zeniths were used as times upon which to begin the construction of something special, very special places. The pyramid of Chichen Itza was begun on a May 27th, and that solar zenith. Xochicalco was done on July 28th. Mexico City was founded on July 26th because on July 26th there's a solar zenith that happens right in the middle of Mexico City, in El Zócalo. It's also beautiful to see and beautiful to experience. Again, Tula was founded at the solar zenith, which happens on July 23rd. And we know that our ancestors were connected across the continent. They communicated. And so these alignments are not separate and isolated. They're connected to other alignments and other formations. Now, finally, just to review these positions here, okay, these are the eight special positions. There we go. And remember, the summer solstice, 13 days after, is a perihelion, is a aphelion, 13 days later, which is the Earth being farthest from the sun. And then the fall equinox, 13 days later, the Earth is equidistant as it is 13 days after spring. And then on the winter solstice, 13 days later, the sun, it's at a perihelion position, which is closest to the sun. In the what we call the Aztec calendar, they are manifested in this way. Okay. Now, this is winter. This is a winter position, and then this is the spring position. This is the summer position, and then this is the fall position. And these here are the other positions that we talked about. The ecahelions and the aphelion and perihelion. And you can see that. So how do they work? Let's review how they work. Yes, get adjusted. Okay, so from the 13 days after the spring equinox, 13 days after the spring equinox is that ecihelion. By the way, this ecihelion point is also important because every 8 years there's a conjunction between Venus and the Pleiades that happens 13 days after spring. The next one will happen in 2028. And that's recorded here. This is Venus, and then there's 7 eyes here, which are the Pleiades. But this ecihelion happens around April 3rd, and then the cycle goes like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and now we're at the winter. We're at winter. Okay? That's 13 cycles of 20, 260 days. We're in the winter season. Okay? Now, this is the perihelion. This is the day, 13 days after winter. And then we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 260 days after the perihelion on January 23rd, we have the fall equinox, which is 260 days. Then here we have the ecihelion after fall, the ecihelion after fall, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 cycles of 20, we have the summer solstice. Then we have the summer aphelion, when the sun is furthest away, okay? And then we have the cycles of 20 cycles of 13 20-day cycles. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. And we have the spring equinox. Okay? So if we look at it at the Earth orbit, okay, from the aphelion after the summer solstice to spring would be 260 days. Okay? And this makes the Earth orbit look like a bowl. So from here, To here, again, we have another bowl. So what the Earth orbits between the special positions and the seasons, they look like a bowl. They look like a bowl. The bowl of life, la cazuela de la vida. And of course, 260 days, we know that 13 days after that uh, is another special position. And when it comes to us, 260 days after we're fully formed in the womb comes a special position of leaving our mother and entering our social order, our world, and begin living our lives. Well, I hope this was informative and clear as much as possible, uh, and that it will help us to understand a little bit more how our ancestors observed, recorded, analyzed, and gave themselves into the mystery of the natural world or the natural order or the universe creation. I hope that we understand a little bit more what that shadow alignment means and how much of a gift it was. It came to us through mystery, but it's also giving us understanding of how we are incorporated or can incorporate ourselves into the natural world. And I hope this makes our trip, our pilgrimage into Huecotanks for the Quetzalcoatl Mask on May 4th, and our medicine ceremony honoring the first shadow alignment on May 26th. Tlazocamati, and I hope you continue to have a wonderful time. Kawit Tlazotla. Tiawi.